What's going on, ATO? It's Monday, so hope you're having fun, and we're gonna get this thing going. Rob is again kind of taking forever. I think he was going to the bathroom or something. I don't know. That's what he told me. Um, but if you've had a great week like we have, then this is gonna be a fun time. But we're just waiting on Rob again, like always, because I don't know. It takes forever for him to realize that we've gone live. Anyway, if you've been doing anything fun, post it up. I mean, we've been doing some cool stuff behind the scenes, but again, we can't really show everything right away. So, if you've gotten done anything cool, let us know. Oh, there's Rob's notification. Let's see if he pops up. But yeah, if you've done anything cool, if you've done any projects or building and helping somebody out with something, let us know. That's fun. That's awesome. That's what we want to see. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, man? How we doing today?
Another day.
Okay, well, just for the record, when you go live, I have to wait till I get the notification that you went to live, and then I have to open the video, then I have to request to be on the video, so it's not always my fault.
Yeah, it is.
There is a signal that is sent from Arizona into outer space, beamed back down to Illinois, and then I mean, come on, you got to give me a minute or two. It's got to take at least
A
a minute.
minute.
Yeah, at least. At least.
Jeez. I've heard of 10-second delays and all, but geez, a minute?
I'm just saying, I think you all have really high expectations.
Yeah, we should.
I don't know, Marty. When me and you were kids, I mean, it was a miracle when we could see who was calling us on the phone before answering the phone. So,
Yeah, that is true. For a while, my dad had it hooked up to where it would play that on the TV.
oh, I remember some people had the TV one, which was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Mine was a little box that we had to plug in to the phone line and then plug that phone into that.
Right.
And then the phone would ring and the whole house would be scrambling,
Who is
trying to
it?
get to it. Who is it? Who is it? I gotta see. You don't even know.
Man, it totally ruined prank calls, though.
It did. It did. Prank calls were done.
You couldn't prank call anybody anymore because it would be
No,
like, hey, I know who it is. You're like,
yeah, or
damn.
I would say private number or number blocked. And they'd be like, yep, prank call
Yep.
or sales call. I'm not doing it.
I'm not answering that. Yeah. It was really weird because sometimes, depending on people, they would have their phone number would come up as a different name, and it was like the
Yep.
person who owned the number before them.
Right.
So, and then you're like,
I had
who is this?
right. I know I had an issue for a while where my phone number was technically owned by my dad, but it was my
Right.
phone, so it would come up as Mark Price, and I'd be like, what?
People were like, I don't know anybody by that name.
I don't know, guys. Oh yeah. So
Anyway, let's get
yeah.
to talking about vehicles.
Alrighty. Let's talk about some vehicles. What vehicles are on the menu for today? I believe we were going to be discussing our favorite car shows on
Yes.
alternate media.
Yes. Or my favorite. I mean, I don't know if you play video games or not all that much, but
Just a
I,
little.
I like car games. They're kind of fun and relaxing usually.
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I love car games. I love any kind of game where I can buy a collection of different cars, modify them all kinds of different ways. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Car games are. If I'm not playing car games, it's because I'm playing a war game, and that's my two genres. That's it. That's what I stick to.
So
That's my wheelhouse.
since we're talking about car games and car shows, what are you? Let's start off with car games. What are your favorite games like to play?
Can we break this up by either console or maybe timeline? Because currently my favorite video game is way different than my
No, well, I'm
favorite of
talking
all
about your
time.
your favorite car games.
Oh, well, you're right. So I'm saying like currently my favorite car games that are currently available, like on newer platforms. I love the Forza series. I've been a big fan of that for a while now. It started to get dull. Then they came out with Forza Horizon, which had a very uh, old school Need for Speed kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I would
With
say that.
still having the racing quality up there with the Forza stuff. I really enjoyed that. Forza right now is definitely my favorite car game.
So Forza Horizon, what 4 is it now? I think it is.
Yeah, I don't even know what number it's on now. I mean, honestly, I still have Forza. I think I have Forza 5, maybe. And I have Horizon 1 or 2. I might have 2. I
I
mean,
have
I haven't bought one in a while. They're good games. I don't need a different one.
yeah. No, I have 3 and 4. I like the one thing I like about 4 is it's got every week. If you play online every week, it changes seasons, and the cars react differently to each season.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff? What kind of stuff do they change for the season for each car? Like, are you talking season as in like winter to
Yeah,
summer
yeah,
seasons?
yeah. So like
Okay,
for one for
okay.
from Thursday to Thursday it'll be winter, and then the next Thursday to Thursday it'll be spring, and then the next one it'll be summertime, and then the next one it'll be fall. So like in the wintertime, obviously you're gonna go a little bit slower because of rain. I mean rain because of ice and snow, and then
Ice
in
and
the
snow.
springtime, it rains a lot. Summertime it's hot, so it's a little bit different. It's usually dry, and then in the fall there's leaves all over the streets, so the leaves will
Oh,
affect
okay.
the traction and everything.
A little initial D action going on there for
Yeah, so
any of
it's
you
it's pretty cool
car
because
anime fans.
depending on when you're doing a race, you could do the race the exact same way 3 times in a row, but it's going to have different times because of the way you have to react to everything that's going on in the track.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
See,
I
I didn't
enjoy.
even realize car games got that complicated.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's really cool. It's really
with
cool.
the regular Forza game, which is the one I play the most of, um, it's so lengthy. Like there's so many different races you can do and so many different cars you can buy, and then you actually have to start. I started breaking down the game where I was going like I would race a certain manufacturer and beat all that manufacturer's racing, and I would race that car in the certain class that it fell in. You know, whether it was rear wheel drive or
Right.
they do the racing series ABC classes, that type of stuff. So there's so much to it that I just like when it comes to a car game. I find like just the realism of it, and then it's just a massive game.
Well,
It's very extensive.
I like games that are that massive because basically your whole point is to beat the game, and
Right,
so and then usually a lot of the times when you beat the game for a lot of these games, it's okay. What do I do now? But if the game is that in depth and that
right,
detail oriented, and it takes you a year to casually beat the game, and then the next one comes out 6 months afterwards, you're like, oh, awesome, all right, cool.
right,
There's not much of a downtime between times where you've beaten the game, and then there's like, okay, well, what do I do now? So
right, right. And I think that's where a lot of the online play comes in with a lot of the games. It's like you beat the campaign, now just play it online.
yeah,
Um, but I've never done any of the car games online. So how is that as far as the experience playing?
well,
I don't know. Is it a free roam type world situation?
the nice thing about the Forza games, the Forza Horizon games, I haven't really gotten too much into the actual Forza games. But the nice thing about the Forza Horizon games is the open world, and you get in and you can do whatever you want. But while you're on, there's other people who are online at the same time in your world.
Okay.
So
They're
basically,
like,
like if I hopped on and then you hopped on, we'd be in the same world driving around, and they have like special events every so often to where everybody in the world can go and join in and do stuff like that, or you and I can just go out and cruise around and find races and race races.
nice. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. That would be one of my chief complaints with the regular Forza games is that they don't do well. They have online, and the online is good, but there's not enough people on it. They've got once again, it's such a massive game and it encompasses so many different styles of racing that there's just not enough people to fill all the slots. So like you try to race in
Right.
this class that you have a good car for, and maybe there's not a lot of people online to play it.
Right.
So you're stuck with no races.
If you're playing online and there's not enough people to race, they don't have you go up against like the computer or anything like that. It's got to be filled up by actual people.
Right. They have to have so many people in each one. I think at the minimum is 3. So
Okay.
it's not like you have to have a lot of people, but
But sometimes you could be waiting for 20, 30 minutes for that to fill up.
For that one guy, and then he jumps out and he just
and screws.
So you end up just finding like whatever there's the most people in, and then trying to build a car for that, and it's you never get that consistency. So that'd be cool. So out of I want to say all time, what's it like? What's your favorite car game all time? Like any console, any system, all time favorite car game.
A lot of people are gonna say like Need for Speed Underground. But honestly, one of my favorites is Most Wanted.
Need for Speed Most Wanted, yeah, I could dig it.
I would spend hours. I would spend hours in the police chases and just cruising around and racking up as much as I could.
Right, that was probably one of the coolest things where you could just drive and just rack up a police chase over and over, like just see how long you could keep the chase going without getting caught. See how could you get away and put yourself in bad situations. Yeah. No, I liked that. That was a lot of fun.
That was Need for Speed's bread and butter was getting chased by the cops, and then for Underground there was no cops, and so people were kind of upset about that. And so Need for Speed was like, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do Underground, and then we're gonna do like a hot pursuit type game, and then we're gonna go back to Underground, and then Need for Speed Most Wanted came along, and they were like, wait a second, I think people like this one better. And so there's some people who are hoping for another Underground version, but I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, the Need for Speed Underground was really cool at the time it came out, and I don't know if it's just nostalgia because that's what got me into the Need for Speed franchise. Like, I mean, I guess I'm not into the franchise. Like, I had played plenty of Need for Speeds, whether it be in our arcade or on a PC platform and stuff like that. So when it came to the PlayStation, what did I have? PlayStation 2 at the time, right?
Right.
And Need for Speed Underground. Actually, I think Underground was on PlayStation. What? No, maybe it was 2. I was want to say maybe. I don't know 1.
Offhand. I had Xbox at the time.
Yeah, see, I know I had. Okay, so I went from Nintendo 64 to PlayStation 2. So I kind of skipped over like a lot of my friends had PlayStation. I had my Nintendo 64, and then it was like, oh, PlayStation 2, and it had all these cool games. Like the Need for Speed, so that's when I went to that. But when I bought PlayStation 2, I also went to the used game store because it could play PlayStation 1 games, and I bought all the PlayStation 1 games. So I don't remember what console they were.
Right. Yeah, you had that backwards compatibility and stuff. So.
Right, but I played on that. Me and the PlayStation 2, we spent a lot of hours racing cars because I played all the Gran Turismos on that thing. I played all the Need for Speeds on that thing. Like, yeah, I loved the PlayStation for car games back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Need for Speed Most Wanted was great. That was a really good game. And I mean, I was going to say Need for Speed Underground 2 was my favorite.
I mean, that was right at the peak of Fast and the Furious. So.
Oh, it was, and I was really geeking out. But now that you say how Most Wanted kind of did that same stuff but put in the car. The only thing I didn't like about Most Wanted, it was all during the daytime. That was the only difference. Like, it was odd. Like, they didn't do the changing of night to day, and that was the only thing. But still, excellent game.
If you liked the nighttime stuff, right after that one, that Need for Speed Carbon, where they started bringing drifting into it, that was a good one.
So, honestly, I hated Carbon. I really did not like Need for Speed Carbon. And when it wasn't the driving or the cars or anything, it was more or less just the way that the racing was set up in that game and the different things that they were trying to do with territory and I just didn't like the game. Like, I just didn't like the game. Because Most Wanted had a great storyline. Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2, great storylines to them also. Because it wasn't just racing, but it was action racing, right? So it was much more, like you said, Need for Speed or
Mm,
Fast and Furious is what you were
yeah,
playing Fast and Furious the game.
yeah, pretty
Fast and
much.
Furious
Yeah,
came
it
out with
was.
their own game, which really wasn't that good, but like the Need for Speeds were great.
Yeah, well, the carbon was short. I was really not excited about how I was.
That's true too.
I played it, but I was like, okay, cool. Let's go back to Need for Speed, Most Wanted, or let's wait for this next one to come out because
Oh yeah,
it wasn't that great. But there
yeah.
was a bunch of good games. There's been a bunch of good racing games. I used to play Midnight Club all the time.
You know, I never played Midnight Club. So many people had it and bought it, and I never did, and I don't know why, but I just never played that game.
It was cool. Like certain cars had certain like special techniques that you could use. Like some cars, if you were coming around a corner, you could flip it up on two wheels and make that corner tighter, which doesn't make sense, but hey, whatever. There was a couple of
Okay.
cars there you could use it. You could build up its like slow mo technique or whatever it was, so it would slow down time, and you could weave between cars better. There was a couple of interesting ones. There's one called aggro where you just pushed cars out of the way, and it didn't slow you down at all.
Oh, okay. So you're just crashing the crap out of everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Maybe that's why. Maybe I thought it was a little cartoony. At that time, I was really starting to get into the realistic racing games
yeah.
because the
Um,
new Gran
an-
Turismo came.
Another one that I enjoyed, that a lot of people didn't for some reason, was Pro Street.
Pro Street. Yeah, I
Need for
played that
Speed Pro Street.
shortly, and I remember setting it down almost right away. The thing was, I think with Pro Street for me is that I had been playing Forza, and I went to Need for Speed for an action racing game, and they were calling it
Yeah.
Pro Street. It looked really cool, and I just didn't get
Well,
into it.
what happened was it was. I mean, they were so used to they had all these open world games, and then they went to Pro Street where it was kind of linear, where you had to pick a race and then race it. You didn't get to drive around for it,
Right.
and they were trying a bunch of other stuff out. But I mean, the drag racing was fun. Setting up cars to do wheelies and stuff like that was a good time. But I enjoyed that one. What else was there? Shift. Do you remember Need for Speed Shift? And they tried to do a Forza style Need for Speed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
Because I'd never played that one because of Pro Street. Because Pro Street was like that middle of the road game, and it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't free roam, so it wasn't Need for Speed enough to be an action racing game, and
Right.
it was linear like Forza, but it wasn't as realistic as Forza, so it
Right.
didn't
Right.
have that realism to it. Yeah. So
Yeah. No.
I never played the Shift.
Shift wasn't bad. Like I said, Shift was a lot more technical. There was a lot of stuff that you could get away with in the earlier games that you couldn't get away with in Shift. Like how a lot of times you run up and then you slam your brakes just before you get to a corner and then you slide around the corner. You can't do that in Shift. You basically will either slide through the corner or you'll completely spin out. So it's more
No.
along the lines of you got to actually figure out what you're doing, and you have to slow down at the right times and you have to speed up at the right times. So it was a lot more technical than most of the other Need for Speeds.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
was pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, Need for Speed was a great franchise for a long time there. And when they started to get realistic with it, I fell off because I had already been playing Forza, which was, realistic. And I
Right.
played Forza 2 through 5 or whatever. Um, and I beat I never fully beat each game, but I beat the vast majority of each game. I mean, they're
Right.
lengthy games.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They
Um,
really are.
but yeah, let's see what else was there? You had all those types of car games, and then do you remember the eh, realistic Mario Karts that they were trying to come out with? I guess as you would call them, like the Twisted Metal, and there was a bunch of like Twisted Metal games. Vigilante was another one, and it was like the crash 'em up cars, shoot 'em, rocket launchers and that kind of stuff. Did
Oh,
you ever get into that kind of stuff as far as, car wise. A lot of people loved it just because it was actiony and silly.
Not really. I tried playing like the Burnout games. I couldn't really get into those ones very much either. Because
Yeah.
what killed me was, okay, you're racing and then you do a takedown, right? And then you have a 10-second long animation in the middle of your race showing how you knocked this car out of the race. And it's like, okay, cool, but I'm trying to race. And now when you come back, it's 10 seconds later, so your car's 10 seconds down the road and you don't even know where you're at anymore. And then now you get knocked out of the race. And it's like, so that's one thing that I didn't like about the Burnout games. And it was really kind of like you said with the whole some of these other Need for Speeds where it was really not realistic enough to do it. It was kind of cartoony, and it was just it's fun if that's what you're going for. But if you're going for like a racing game, it wasn't going to be anything that you enjoy.
So what do you look for more in a car game? You know, or do you prefer realistic racing games, or do you prefer games with maybe a little more action to them, or what are you looking for when you go to look at car games?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you anymore because some games I like the customizing aspect of them, and some of them I like the actual racing aspect of them. Like the I don't know about, I haven't really played Forza much of the Forzas all that much, but like the Need for Speed Shift ones, there was almost no customization on those at all. It was like you could pick the livery and you could pick different parts, but you couldn't really do much else other than okay, if you want to race a full race car, here's the full race car kit. That's it. That's all you get to do. But if you do anything else, it's you can change the color and maybe the wheels, and then everything else is engine wise, and you can tweak the tuning and stuff here and there. But it was a lot of sometimes I want to have more control over how the car looks and how it does this and what what I'm doing with it. So
Right. Well, that's what I love about Gran Turismo and Forza more than any of the other stuff on those games. Like the racing's all really realistic on both those kind of games, but I love how tunable and customizable everything is. You can do engine swaps, you can do drivetrain swaps, you can you can upgrade the brakes, and you can upgrade all the different systems at different points in time. You can have maybe a car where you've lightened it and you've just done like take the speakers out and the spare tire and stuff, right? Or you can have a full race chassis in there, or it's whatever it is you want to make it. There's only small restrictions here and there. Like they usually confine you if you're going to engine swap something, you have to swap it to something that's in that make. So like if you're doing a Honda Civic, you can't put an LS in it. You have to get whatever other Honda engine and put it in there.
Right.
So I loved those games for that type of customization, and the fact that it would get really in depth. You could do the different levels, you could tune your ride height, and you could do your full suspension adjustment. Just your entire alignment could be changed. I think it was only in Gran Turismo where you could actually change the gear points on your transmission, which I always thought was really like, man, that was awesome, because you could take a good car and you could get the transmission just right, and it was cool. It was very cool.
I haven't played.
Hey Ray, what's up, man?
I haven't played Forza Horizon in a minute, but I'm pretty sure you can do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, Forza Horizon is fun because, the third one where I was playing was you were in Australia, and then you're trying to make a big spectacle out of it, and you're doing showcases where you're racing against like hovercrafts and fighter jets and stuff like that. And so in the next one, you're in England and you're racing around doing stuff like that as well. And you get to find all these different like billboards and knock these billboards down, some of this other stuff. but you still get all of the fun, like tuning and changing your car around and stuff like that aspects. And it's free roam to where you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
those are awesome fun games.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to pick me up some Forza, the new Forza Horizon, because
Yeah,
it seems like it's
4.
gotten a hell of a lot better. So we're on 4 now. We're on the
Go
fourth one.
go to 4. Yeah,
I
but like
think.
I
I
said,
think.
when you hop online, it'll change. It'll change seasons every week.
Oh, that's cool. Ray, we're talking about our favorite car video games right now.
Right now, and
Favorite
then
car video games.
we're gonna transfer into our favorite car shows, either on YouTube or other mediums.
Yep.
So
Just like that.
let us know what your favorites are, because we've been talking about our favorites for the last 20.
Yeah, I think we've just been going on for like 20 minutes.
Hey,
Oh, there's been so many. I mean, there's been so many good car
there
video
really
games
has
out
been,
there.
but there's also
I mean,
been really a lot of crappy ones too. So I mean,
yes,
it's
there has been.
the car games are kind of hit and miss. Like
Yeah.
one game that I can tell you right now that I did not enjoy at all was The Crew.
The Crew. That just sounds bad. That just sounds like a poorly made video game.
Apparently, what you do is you're basically, it's like races across the country and stuff like that, but you can change your vehicle at any time, like literally in the middle of the race, from a car to a boat to a plane or something like that. And it's like, it was probably a cool idea, but really just poor execution. Some people liked it, but I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, there was this game called The Grid, and it was a cool concept, and it was poorly executed. Let's put it that way. Like it was really cool. It was a lot of battle racing. In the aspect of it was one-on-one. It was you versus another car, maybe 2 other cars at the most. So it was very one-on-one. And you could do different competitions. So you could do drifting competitions, you could do circuit races. And one of the best parts about the game is that you could do downhill racing, Japanese mountain style, where you've got to, stay on the other person's bumper, you got to lose the guy behind you, that type of thing. Right. And it was all, the concept of it was really, really cool. It had customization. You could make your own performance company, and you would get different sponsors to get different parts. The thing is that the cars were uncontrollable. You just couldn't quite drive them the way there's no way. There was just no way. You try to drive precision downhill racing, and it's too cartoony for that. But then you go to the drifting, and they're spot on point, and it's really, really accurate. And so you try to do those same maneuvers, but in the mountain racing, and the car didn't react the same, and it was just all kinds of weird.
Yeah, that was those kind of games are aggravating, because you're expecting the car to do one thing, and you get into it, and you're like, whoa, what the? This is not even at all how this car would react to this. Did you play have you ever played any of the Dirt series?
I did play a little bit of the Dirt series, and I didn't like it almost immediately. You know what it was? Remember when Xbox first started doing download demos, where you could download the demo of a game and play it before you went and bought it? Best idea ever. So I downloaded the Dirt demo, and the car that it gave you as an all-wheel drive rally car to go racing was a Mitsubishi Eclipse, but it was a 4th generation. And if you know anything, I mean, I was a very big Mitsubishi fan at the time. I don't know if I am anymore, but if you know, I'm very anal about stuff. That's not that car. And I was mad because that car wasn't all-wheel drive, and I was mad because it wasn't a 4-cylinder turbo. And here it is, 4-cylinder turbo all-wheel drive on a video game. And I'm like, no, I'm not playing this game. This is not a real car. You can't just have this.
Did you just play the demo, or did you actually play the game?
No, I just played the demo, and I was just angry that they had an Eclipse that's V6 front-wheel drive as an all-wheel drive turbo
But
4-cylinder,
but
and
did they,
it's not the right
was that
thing.
one of the ones that was all built up for that, or was supposed to be here's a stock Mitsubishi Eclipse? Or
Well, it looked stock. I mean, I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was a long time ago.
but no, I enjoyed some of those because they had like trophy trucks and they had, like you said, they had rally racing and stuff like that. And then they had, after a while, they started putting Ken Block in there, and they started doing like Gymkhana type stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like the little playground type stuff. So it was fun. There was some cool stuff about them. I enjoyed those ones a little bit because those are cartoony enough to where you have a good time, but they're still realistic enough to where you can enjoy the realism of what you're doing.
Right, you can actually make sense of what the car's supposed to be doing, hitting the brakes,
Yeah,
counter steering, dropping
and
a
you've got
gear, the whole 9 yards.
a co-pilot that tells you, hard left or long sweeping right. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
So
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. I think we played 1 and 2, while we were sitting in Kuwait waiting to come home. Because we were in there, we were up there for 10 days doing absolutely had nothing to do, because they were like, okay, it's going to take you guys 10 days to turn in all your trucks, and we turn them in like 12 hours. So for like 9 days, we're sitting around going, what do we do? And one of the guys had a nice gaming laptop with a Xbox controller, so we played Dead Space, and we played the Dirt games.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, good times. So, when you go hang out on YouTube or TV, what kind of car shows do you enjoy? Because I'm sure I enjoy different stuff than you do.
Oh, I'm sure, absolutely. Our taste has to be pretty far off. I enjoy, when it comes down to car shows, I really enjoy modification type car shows. To a degree, it depends on the types of cars they're doing and the types of modifications they're doing, I guess
Right.
I would say. Because I don't like big shop shows where like it's got X garage and we build $1 billion cars and we're just
Our,
we need a racing engine. I bought this one for $15 billion and I need and they just like dump money into this thing and then
we're gonna
like
build a
it's
car, and so our budget is $150,000.
yeah, and you're
So
like F you, that's not a budget. That's not a budget. Are you kidding me? That's a house somewhere, you jerk. That's not a budget. Get out of my face.
of course you're gonna be able to complete that car because you have 150 grand. Now come and do it for $5 grand and come and show it to me.
Yeah, show me that shit. See you guys
Yeah,
doing that stuff.
yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, um, I like a lot of the how-to stuff that actually goes in depth to what you're looking at. Like I was telling you when you were doing it in the garage, there's so many shows that will go, okay, well you just take these 3 bolts off, and voila, here's the piece off, and it's like, oh, okay, but I've done that before, and I know for a fact it's not that easy.
Right.
Yeah, you take those 3 bolts off, but you've got to finagle that thing around like 3 hoses and this and that and the other just to pull it out of the area. And you have to do this before you can even get to those 3 bolts. So why aren't you showing me what I'm supposed to be? What neat all goes into it.
Right.
I
Right.
like shows that will actually break it down, because a lot of people who are looking at YouTube for like how-to stuff are people who want to do it and might not have ever done it before, or are
Right.
trying to teach themselves. They're in high school, they're trying to teach themselves because it's their first car and they want to know what they're doing. And then you get these guys who are like, oh yeah, it's just easy. It's you pop this bolt off and you do this and you do that and voila, you're good to go. This 5-hour project only took me 20 minutes.
Right.
And then so then you jump into it and you're watching the video and you're like, but I never saw that piece. There's this piece here. What, they have a different car? What's going on? And so now your 20-minute project is 3 days and your car's still taken apart.
Right.
So I like it when people actually go into depth and explain what's going on and what things you have to do, like the processes before as you're taking stuff off, because sometimes you take something off and you go put everything back on and you go, crap, I forgot this. And so you've got to take 5 steps back to where you can go back and put this piece back in.
Right, right. There's 2 shows that come to mind that are very much like that, that I really enjoy on YouTube. I watch a guy. I haven't watched any of his newer stuff, but it was Tom's Turbo Garage.
Okay.
And I started watching him because he built a DSM for the drag strip, and so of course I had to watch. I had to tune in, and
Right.
he wasn't like detail to detail in depth, but he goes a little bit more in depth as to what he's doing, why he's doing it, and what purpose, and shows you the steps that he's taking, and he's the type of guy that's not afraid to let you know, hey, I did this wrong. Learn from this mistake.
Right.
It's very easy to make this mistake.
Exactly.
That type of stuff. And then also Mighty Car Mods. I know there's just about all you guys have heard of Mighty Car Mods. They're probably one of the biggest channels for that type of stuff.
I remember watching Mighty Car Mods back when they were doing like stupid stuff. Like
yeah. Oh, I loved it.
When they put the start button, the push to start button in the what was it? Was it his Mira?
I think it was that Honda Civic.
It was either the Civic or the Mira or one of the two. But yeah, so they put it in there just because they could. It wasn't one of those things of like. And then the cool thing is they showed you exactly how to put it together and how to do it.
Right.
But it was one of those things of you don't need this unless your ignition's broken. You don't need this at all.
Right.
But
right. And the funny thing is, you could still turn the key and start the car, or you could turn the key and then push the button and it would start. It was really funny. Yeah.
It was really funny. But
that was the Honda Civic.
Yeah, they were doing stuff like that, or the one where they were talking about Moog was gonna show everyone how to bondo how to use filler on a dent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we're gonna fix this dent right here, and he goes, and Marty walks up, he goes, what dent? And he punches his fender, and he goes, that dent. So that was some old school stuff, but yeah, those guys.
Yeah, no,
they've come a long way.
Oh man, they're so big from where they began. Because yeah, I started watching them when they borrowed their friend's car and put a stereo kit in like this really crappy car, but it's like a legitimate thing that somebody would do. That's like, I know all I could get with this crappy car, but it doesn't have a stereo. Like I need a stereo in there. And so just very simple, step by step. These are the tools that we needed. This is what we did. This is how we wired it up. Even when they do stuff like where it's questionable quality, they tell you that's what we're cutting this corner where this is going to happen. It's going to look terrible, but it's going to be all right.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching them for
sure.
I've really enjoyed watching them change. Well, I shouldn't say change. They started out kind of high school kids in the driveway to now they're doing full engine swaps and car builds and all sorts of stuff.
They've done all kinds of cool stuff. All kinds of cool stuff.
And then they did a whole series on like cold air intakes if they actually did anything. Yeah. And they tested them all on
all the dyno testing, all that stuff was fun. Yeah. That's what it just drew me in. They did all kinds of like legitimate cool stuff. So that's definitely a fun one as far as like modifications and stuff goes.
Right.
Yeah. I also enjoy watching racing, but I don't necessarily watch racing shows like I usually watch, I guess, what they call no prep or grudge racing, that type of stuff. I enjoy watching those videos, just because everybody's trying to. It seems like those type of races, everybody's trying to pull one over on the next guy. So everybody shows up with these cars. You really don't know what any of them can do. Like you really, really don't know what any of them can do. And you got this car and that car, and you're like, well, that car should beat it, but I don't know what he did to that car. And so that's always a lot of fun. I really enjoy watching that. I usually get a good surprise. And then a lot a lot of the highway pull racing too, where they start at high speeds and drag race it, from a rolling start of
Right. Yeah.
40,
Those are
40 miles per
those are
hour or
cool to
something like
see,
that.
especially because a lot of the times, you're like, this car should definitely win, but I don't know how the driver is. So if the driver sucks, then they're going to lose horribly.
Right.
And a lot of the times you watch that, or somebody blows up a clutch, or somebody blows up an engine, and you're like, shit, they could have done
Right.
some really cool shit with that car.
Right. You get those guys that are like, oh, look, check out this guy. He's got a silly modified something or other. I'm totally gonna be, he's got that I think I'm fast mentality, and just gets his
Yeah.
doors blown off and the thing's just gone. And he's
but but no.
oh
Um,
man.
I like watching. I've been watching a lot of these like rebuilding shows a lot lately, like where guys will buy cars out of a junkyard, or out of a Copart lot or whatever, or IAA, and then rebuild them. There's a bunch of them right now. There's at least three that I know of where B is for build. He took a 28. I think it was a 280Z. I think it was a 280Z, and he put a BMW V12 into it.
Why not? Let's
That
do
was
it.
pretty awesome. Then there's one guy. His name is Sam Crack. He rebuilt the Domino's delivery cars that had the delivery oven in the side window.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he found one of those and bought it and rebuilt it, and then Domino's is like, that's our car. You're gonna give it back to us. He's like, no, I bought this. And so he was having some issues with those guys. I don't know if he's able to like play those anymore. But yeah. So, and then there's this other guy. Basically, he was starting to buy like the cheapest things that he could find. So he bought the cheapest Lamborghini in the country, but it needed a whole mess of work. And he sat there and he rebuilt this thing in his garage.
Wow.
So, and now his kind of claim to fame is right now he just buys a bunch of other people's cars and sees it, like, okay, well, this project I kind of gave up on, and he goes, I'll take it. I'll fix it. So, yeah, and his recent car that he bought was his very first 3000 GT.
Uh-oh. Sounds like I'm going to go check this guy out.
Yeah. And he went and took it on the Dust Bowl rally. He was actually out in Joliet not too long ago with a couple of other YouTubers. Yeah, but you were at work.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, so there's a bunch of good car channels out there right now.
There are. YouTube was one of those things that no one ever saw coming, because like you get to see all kinds of different stuff. One of the shows that I really like is Engine Masters, and I don't necessarily work on. They do all V8 engines. I don't necessarily work on V8 engines, but they always do something cool. They're always like, hey, let's find out if this eBay turbocharger will actually make horsepower. We've got this Chevy 350, and who cares if we blow it up? And how much nitrous can we put to this engine? Which was a recent one. That one was really good. They're always doing, hey, let's try these different camshafts. They tried different intakes on the top of carburetors and stuff.
Yeah.
They do all kinds of crazy weird testing. They just build stuff on an engine dyno and run it. It's really, really cool.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching that series. Just to see the different stuff that they're testing out. It's informative and entertaining.
One that I miss from being on YouTube, because it's not on YouTube anymore. It's only on Motortrend on demand. Was Roadkill.
Roadkill, yeah. A lot of people were big into Roadkill.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to see too much of it lately because I usually only hop onto YouTube every now and then and watch here and there, and so I don't ever have time to jump onto Motortrend on demand to watch that. So it's one of those things of I get home, I watch it, maybe an hour or so of that stuff, and then I go to bed or whatever. And so it's just one more extra step for me to go watch it. So I haven't gotten to see too much of the stuff lately. So that Dirt Every Day and a couple of the other couple of the other shows that have gone from going to YouTube over to their channel. I don't get to see it all that much anymore.
Mm. Yeah, see,
Mm.
I had seen some of the Roadkill stuff. They did a crossover thing with Mighty Car Mod, so
Yep.
you know, I watched that. They built a really cool Subaru, turned into a little pickup
Yeah,
truck. That was cool.
that was actually
And
really
then they're
cool.
like, and we're gonna stick the turbocharger outside the hood. Why? Because we're going to. That's why. What do you mean why?
Because we
Which
can.
it actually, yeah, looked really cool. That was really neat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what other type of car stuff do you enjoy there, Marty?
Gosh, I love them. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I'll see every now and then. Uh, there's a couple of shows that people kind of go over uh, cars that they've been building and stuff like that. But one thing that I've been watching a lot lately is every Thursday, Up to Speed on Donut. I don't know if you.
Oh, Donut Media. Yeah, is that like a newer one? Can I say that? I don't know how long they've been around.
That
But it's a
I want
newer
to
one
say
for me.
they've been around a couple of years now, at least a couple of years now.
I
But
love Up to Speed.
the up to
Yeah,
speed
it's
stuff,
great.
it's hilarious and it's really informational.
Right.
Like it's kind of like the way you wish you got taught history.
Right. Keep my attention and also tell me a cool story. No, I love the Up to Speeds and I love the bumper to bumpers. I love hearing like the story behind a car or a brand or a manufacturer. That's
Yeah.
the stuff that's right down my alley.
One of the things that they're doing right now, I don't know if you've seen this or not. They're doing twin 370Zs or 350Zs. I forgot. I can't. They're the same car, but they bought the exact same car, and one of them they're going with high end parts, and the other one they're going bottom of the barrel parts, and they're seeing which one they can build better.
That's awesome.
Like what the last episode that I saw, they put a $1,200 limited slip differential in one of them, and then the other one they just welded the diff.
Yes, this is the race I want to see.
You know what I mean?
Oh man, that's awesome. Yeah.
So they're going with they're doing these not identical cars, but I mean they're the same car basically, and they're what they're doing is they're seeing what parts work the best.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really need to go top of the line for this if this is all you're doing, or do you need to, or can you get away with skimping a couple bucks and doing this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that one a little bit.
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that. Oh yeah, definitely.
Um,
Because
yeah,
I love watching like I said, the Up to Speeds are really great. I've been chanting "pop up and down headlights" for like a month straight now. These are gonna be popping up and down really soon. So it's gonna be awesome.
They're up to speed, not up to speed. Their science garage was a really cool one too.
I don't think I caught any Science Garage. Like I said, I was watching. I watched almost all of them. I did get a little angry though when I saw the Up to Speed on the Mitsubishi Eclipse. Because he left out a bunch of like little details, and I get it. Like he's just trying to give the general story to everybody. They left out some details, and I was like, whoa, hey man, I should fill them in.
Yeah, be like, hey man, you forgot something. Believe me. But no, Science Garage was really cool because what they did was they kind of broke down certain aspects of cars and stuff like that, or they told you exactly how a turbo works or how a supercharger works, how they were invented and all this other stuff. Certain little things about why this is used and why this isn't used and all sorts of cool things like that. And they kind of break it down scientifically and show you all the science behind these pieces and stuff. It was really cool.
That's cool. That's cool. It sounds a little bit like Engineering Explained.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watched that guy, I watched him for a little while, and then kind of fell away from it. I mean, I felt like he stole my idea, but he also went to college, so he's a little bit smarter than me. So he's able to
Well,
explain it just a little bit better.
it's okay. He drives a Tesla now, so I don't think you'd enjoy it anyway.
No, no. Although I started to watch and I never finished it. I'll be honest. This is the video you sent me of that guy that was like, or it was that guy, the engineering explained guy, and he made the road trip in the Tesla. And I started to watch it, and I was like, oh, this is exactly how I thought it was going to go. And I turned it.
Exactly. Exactly. He was
It's
talking
nothing
about.
against that guy. I hate Teslas. I'm sorry.
Well, it was funny because he said it was supposed to take like, what was it, 24 hours or something like that to do his trip, and it ended up taking him. It took him like 36 hours, without his tire blowout, which caused it like an extra 10 hours. So it ended up taking him like 45 hours to do this trip, because every 200 miles he had to stop for 50 minutes.
Right.
To charge the car.
Which is actually, that's a pretty fast charge too.
Well, because what it is it was just giving him 200 miles every time.
Okay.
It wasn't completely filling recharging the car. It was just charging it enough to get another 200 miles and then fill back up. So, yeah, I mean, that's, I don't know.
But yeah, I haven't watched much of it. Like I said, I started to watch that, and I was like, oh, yep, this is what I think it is. This is exactly what's going to happen. It's stuck here, and oh man.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good shows. One of the guys from Roadkill, he has his own show called Finnegan's Garage, where he does a whole bunch of just kind of random stuff. He works on his 55 Chevy. He works on the ramp trucks that they've got. He does this and that and the other. So he has some fun stuff in there. But there's all these different car shows that are.
I don't know.
What's up? What'd you do?
I don't know. I don't know whose truck that is. I don't know who's taking the boat. I don't know.
I didn't do it.
It's not my boat.
It's not my boat. I didn't take the boat. Have you heard of Rob Dahm?
No, I don't think so.
He's been building a 4-rotor RX-7 for the last couple of years, and it's kind of interesting because he's making it. It's going to be an all-wheel drive 4-rotor RX-7.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And he's got, it's really cool. But he finally got a working 4-rotor. I think he got it from Brazil, and he had to extend the front of the car like 8 inches or whatever to make it work.
Right.
And so yeah, a lot of his stuff is just him kind of trial and error. A lot of stuff. He made a 2-rotor C5 Corvette.
Nice.
And so
that's funny.
It's one of those things where he's like, I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off by it, but I don't care. I'm building it, not you guys. So
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, definitely. So it's there's some really cool channels out there, and I mean, like I said, I don't just watch one thing, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, you like trucks, you're gonna only watch truck stuff. I like everything.
I will say there was an afternoon where I wasted the entire day just spaced out watching the Diesel Brothers. I'll admit to that.
Yeah.
One day I was just like, and it came on and I was just intrigued, and it just kept going and going and going and going and going. I didn't know when the last episode had stopped and which episode I was on now. And
yeah. No, yeah, there's, like I said, there's not a lot of like truck channels. There's a lot more car building channels than there are, kind of truck channels.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it seems like the vast majority of channels out there do and shows, they all do like that same kind of classic car era 60s 70s stuff. They don't really vary too much outside of the muscle car realm. So it's,
yeah,
it's all right.
And then
All
you've
right.
got all these people who buy these high end exotics and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, it's cool to see what you're doing with it, but I'm not going to keep up with it because I'm never going to buy one. you know.
Right. Right. And one of the shows that I really liked was the Wheeler Dealers, where they would actually buy, reasonable cars, fix them up reasonably, and then resell them. Flipping car stuff was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah,
That's been gone for a little while now. They split up or whatever. Something happened with them guys.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what happened with that one. Maybe they just kind of lost their fan base. Who knows? But yeah, there's a whole bunch of um, there's a whole bunch of just kind of, what's the word I want to call them? Variety car shows where they don't stick to one kind of car. They just kind of do all sorts of stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I posted a video on All Terrain Outlaws about this guy in Wichita. His name's Hoovy. He talked to Ben Pack, and Ben Pack gave him a 3-car lift for his garage. And so basically what it is you put 3 cars on the lift, and each lift comes up individually, and then you can put 3 more cars underneath it. So he can put 6 cars in the same spot of 3 cars.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Was cool. That was
And
I was so jealous.
I mean, but his claim to fame is buying the cheapest car that he can find. So
Mm-hmm.
like a bunch of his cars are just riddled with issues when he gets them, and so he goes through and finds all these issues and has to fix them, and then he decides if it's going to be worth him actually keeping the car or not. So right now he's got a Rolls Royce that he just drives around because it was the cheapest Rolls Royce in the country. And he's like, if and with the money that he's got into it to fix it up, he's gonna kind of break even on it. So he's like, screw it, I'm just gonna keep it.
I would too. That's a good call. I like it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's always got some random issue that pops up. That's there's a lot of good channels out there.
Right.
You know what
No,
another good
definitely.
channel? You know what another good channel is? All Terrain Outlaws.
Yeah, it's true. It's a good one. Enjoy that Rob guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah, that guy Rob. He does his riding with Rob stuff. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and then we've had these videos up there, and in the garage is up over there.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of good stuff.
I really enjoy the in the garage stuff. We because like I said, there's a lot of people who are just getting into cars and trying to figure out things, and you can use any of those in the garage vehicle shows for whatever you're working on, and kind of give yourself a nice little technical knowledge about certain things without getting too deep into it and going, oh man, I can't do this.
Right.
Because that's how a lot of these how-tos are. It's they start talking about this, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and then they're done, and you're like, but I haven't put it back together yet. How did you get it put back together?
Yeah.
So
The answer is they didn't.
right. Yeah, I was watching one. I had to watch one because I've never dealt with when D had her Titan. I never dealt with the starter on those things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's underneath the intake.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me YouTube this to see how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be. And I watched one guy, and he's like, yeah, you do this, and yeah, you undo this bolt, and you undo these 3 bolts. Yeah, but what you don't tell everybody is how much of a pain in the ass it is to get to these bolts. Or and actually, the one guy he showed a really cool trick that I've used maybe once or twice. He took a piece of paper and stuck it in the socket, and then stuck the bolt in there, and then held the bolt in there kind of like a magnet would.
Mm-hmm.
So he could start the bolt because it was way back in the back of the engine inside of a valley. So you could start it like that, and then when you go to pull it out, it just, the pressure of it just pops off and it's good to go. And I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty cool idea. I would have never thought about that.
Right. No, that is cool. I do enjoy different tips.
Yeah.
Hang on one second. Sorry, Marty.
Uh-oh.
Oh, geez. So, so you've been to Manuka before, right?
Yeah.
So the local police department has been posting the goings on and around town on Facebook. And apparently somebody was just now pulled over to a 90 miles per hour down Ridge Road in Manuka, which is 45 miles per hour for those of you who don't know Manuka.
Why would you even want to do that? Because aren't those tracks horrible?
Well, there's that, but once you get past the tracks, there's a long stretch of road that's in good shape. It's probably one of the better roads in Illinois, but it's it's only what it's one lane, so you got cars here and you got cars here, and then it opens up slightly, so there's a turn lane here and there. We have a few more stoplights on it than the last time we were here. We have a few extra stoplights there now.
Alrighty.
Apparently this guy is the reason why, because we're just gonna do 90 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was fun.
He's famous for.
Sorry for the interruption, guys. That just got live broadcast right here, right now. All Train Outlaws exclusively.
He's famous for all the wrong reasons now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I was saying though, there's so many of these how-to channels that kind of breeze over things that they feel are simple to them, but it's one of those things of you have to do the whole process every time, because it's easy for you and you've done it 100 times, but the reason why somebody's watching it is because they've never done it before and they're trying to figure it out for the first time. So you breeze over this one part, and now all of a sudden, their car explodes because they missed something, or they didn't put something in the right way.
They get it all back together and it just won't turn on. It's just done. It's
right.
Like, what did I miss?
Well, I followed all of their steps. There's one thing that they didn't put into that process, because they breezed over it because they figured.
That's just common knowledge.
It's one of those things of they like, oh yeah, you take this off, you take this off, you take this off, and then when they turn around and they tell you how to put it back together, they just go, and everything goes back together in reverse order, and then they go, here, it's put back together. It's like, no, no, you still have to put it back together.
Right, putting it back together isn't just reverse the order always. There may be some tricks putting it back together as well. I always try to do my best to be thorough when I'm doing different stuff for you guys and on YouTube. So I know I definitely appreciate that when I get to see other videos where they actually take the time and are like, hey, when you're taking this bolt out, do it this way. Just watch out for this. This is going to be in your way. Before we get to step A, we got to go through this. Checklist of crap. Yeah. So I definitely. I don't think there's enough guys out there that leave in the small tips and tricks, the little stuff that they do to get by, and so I always try to the aggravation, the heartache, and
you got all these guys who are like, oh well, I'm putting it on, I'm taking this on a car that I just bought and it's brand new, or I'm doing it for a car that I've been building for the last 5 years. Okay, cool, but what about this guy who's been driving one for 20 years and it's covered in rust because it was up north? Yeah. But now, you take this bolt off and it's supposed to just come right apart. But now you've got to, get a pry bar and a torch and get all this other stuff and try all these different techniques. But these people, these are kids who've never done it before and they don't know all these little techniques or tips and tricks and stuff like that. You gotta help them out. You gotta be able to, you gotta break it down so it's like you're teaching a 4-year-old. I mean, honestly, that's the way I look at it. Is you break it down to where it's like you're teaching somebody who's never done anything with cars. Period.
Right. Right.
And, you know,
And
some
it
people
leaves
might
people
look at
feeling
it,
confident.
and some people might look at it and go, God, dude, you're taking forever. Just show me the piece already. But then there's other people who are like, dude, I'm so glad you did it this way. I've seen 40 other videos on this process, and I couldn't get it together, and I didn't realize I was missing this one bolt. You know,
Right.
I couldn't figure out that there was another bolt up underneath this other one because everyone just breezed over it.
Right.
Oh, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah, no, and it definitely, I had done some of that stuff in some of my earlier videos. They just reminded me of one of my favorite things that I ever did for any video ever, uh, is I was installing a cold air intake on a Scion TC,
mhm,
and it had really clear and explicit instructions,
right.
except that, and then I was like, okay, so this will be really easy to show people. And I get to about halfway through, and it says, now remove the front bumper. I'm looking at it, I'm like, why?
for
Why would I?
for an
For
air filter?
what? Yeah, because the tube goes all the way down, and there's like a really nice pocket by the headlight, right? And
Okay.
that's where I would put my cold air intake. It's right in the front of the car. It's outside the engine bay. Like, it's perfect. It's like legitimate. You know, if you're going to do a cold air intake, you might as well do it.
Right, right.
Um, but the space between the headlight and the body was only big enough to fit the pipe in, and it wasn't big enough to fit the air filter in. So you had to remove the front bumper to put this air filter on. And I'm like, why would anybody put this on their car ever?
Right,
Because every time my air filter's dirty, I got to take the whole front bumper off. And I'm looking
right.
at it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, come on. I'm like, wait a minute. It's just open pocket right there. I took the skid plate off the bottom, and I've just reached my hand up and plugged it on there. And I'm like, screw the rest of the video. All I'm going to talk about is this one part right here. Because for the love of God, there's got to be 100 different videos where they do the whole thing, and they tell you to take the front bumper off.
Right.
I don't know.
And that's
That's
and then pieces like that, and then you're somebody who hasn't really done car maintenance before, and you put it back together, and the lines don't quite line up just right, or you know
mm-hmm.
you broke something, so now it's a little bit loose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Especially on the front bumpers, you get those weird little clips and different things. The body clips
right,
that all
right.
break
And so
always.
yeah, no. So now now this little clip is broken, and it's just a little bit loose, and now it flaps every time you're driving down the street. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but if you would have, if you had a little bit of knowledge in what you're doing, you could have done what you did, and it's like, oh, that makes more sense. But it's it's these people who, you know, maybe this is their first car, and they're all excited.
Right.
They're gonna put this cool stuff on there, and it's like, I have to do that.
Yeah. You're like, wait a minute, what? It was the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen in any set of instructions ever. It's like, now we're going to remove the front bumper. Why? There's a skid plate. You take the skid plate. And the thing is you have to remove that skid plate to take the front bumper off anyway.
So
Why am I going any further? That's it. Skid plate off.
well,
Boom.
we're trying to keep you from having to lay on the ground.
That pretty much was it. Well, you had to lay on the ground and take the skid plate off. Jesus. Killing me.
But I mean, yeah. So that just little things like that, where you know you go into it and you're like, no, we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way. Where, you know, if you haven't done it before, you're not going to know. Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
Right.
So, and that's one of the things that I like about what we're trying to do here is, you know, there's people who have never worked on cars before, who are starting to, you know, get the confidence to you know, do their own stuff, or there's, you know, high school kids who it's their first car and they want to start, you know, customizing the car and doing this and doing that, and then they do something and then everyone goes, why'd you do that? That's horrible. That's stupid. Why'd you do that? But I mean, honestly, do something. It doesn't matter what you do. Do something. It's your car. Have fun with it.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, all these people are going, you're dumb. Why'd you do that? And now they're like,
Right.
I don't know if I want to do this kind of stuff anymore because people are just gonna talk down to me the whole time. It's like, no, man, do it. Someone's gonna look at it and think that's cool as shit.
And it doesn't even matter. It's your car. It should be cool as shit to you. Because you know
Well, I
what? I
mean,
don't know.
yeah,
I love driving like loud. Like I enjoy having a loud exhaust, so I drive a lot of loud cars just in general. And I remember a lot of people ask me like, even, why do you want to have it? Why does the muffler have to be so loud? Why is it so loud? They're like, because I enjoy that sound. That's why it's loud. I
right,
don't care
right,
if you don't like it. I don't care if it sounds dumb to you. I enjoy the engine noise. It's
right,
enjoyable to me. And
exactly.
also, big exhaust makes car go faster. So ha.
Boom. But yeah, exactly. So I mean, there's always going to be somebody. I don't know
You
if
gotta ignore those people. Screw
I
those
don't know if you
people.
saw the Instagram post today on All Terrain Outlaws. Coffin sent me a picture of a Ford. What is it? Anglia, I want to call it. It's basically a little Mini almost. It's a Ford
Hmm.
version of the Mini, but it's got a V8 in it.
Oh, nice.
So the whole firewall is gone, and the driver's seat is the back seat, and the steering wheel is basically coming up through the floor, and the gauges are on the floor. But it's one of those things of, somebody's going to absolutely hate that. But I think that's cool as shit because
That's
I
super
haven't seen
cool.
it before. You know what I mean? Like
Right, right.
that's cool. I like seeing stuff like that because you're not conforming to what everybody else thinks. There's going to be so many people who are like, "Why'd you destroy this car? Or why'd you ruin this car?" Why not?
Yeah,
I put a
made it my
V8 in
own.
it.
Yeah.
I put a V8 in it, dude. What do you mean? you know, it,
Uh,
and it's kind of like Mighty Car Mods when they swapped that Honda engine into his Mini,
yeah,
and
that
they
was
they,
cool.
they took it to the mini meet, and there's a lot of people like, you ruined this car,
Yeah, they were
and
mad about
there's
it.
and then there's a couple people who are like, wow, that's really cool. I never thought about that. Is it fast?
Yeah,
But it's so many different schools of thought that
right.
just do it, have fun with it.
Yeah,
If somebody doesn't like it, there's probably 3 or 4 people who do like it. So whatever.
right. You gotta be able to customize your car, and people are gonna hate it, and
Yeah,
you shrug those people off. Those people are stupid.
yeah, yeah.
They don't get it. They don't get it.
They don't get to hang out with you. Whatever. You
Right.
know, when you're
Enjoy your boring person's car.
when you're 10 years down the road building awesome cars, and they're stuck in their office job because they stopped building cars because they thought everything was stupid,
Hey, Rich.
then you get to laugh at them because you're doing what you enjoy, and they're stuck in an office.
Right.
So keep doing it.
Gotta be able to enjoy your ride. Can't
Yep.
can't have a boring car.
No, you
I
can't.
think too many people have boring cars. That's why we have stupid car laws.
Life's too short
So
to
many
drive a
people have
boring car.
way too short. You have to drive something cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something you're gonna have fun
Exactly.
with.
Exactly. So, Rich, what are you doing with what? Have you heard anything about your Land Cruiser?
Oh yeah, man. The Land Cruiser, dude.
Man, I saw that.
That
And
sucks.
that
That
was
sucks.
cool.
Oh yeah. I was like, dude.
It reminded me of when I crashed Dee's truck. I mean, because it was. There's no way that her truck should have been totaled out. But if oh, but yeah, there's whatever. They should have never totaled out her truck. But then again, she kind of
Yep.
won because she got the car that she's got. So it's one of those things of, see, now Rich can
But
kind of,
man, that sucks. He's fighting with the insurance. Of course they're gonna fight you because
yeah,
they don't want to pay it out. Especially, I know, like I've seen the price of some of that particular anniversary edition, and they are not cheap.
no,
Those
they're not. And
they're
that's the
not
thing.
cheap.
And that's the thing about a lot of insurance companies is they're not car people.
Right? They don't get it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's always true. No,
absolutely.
but yeah, there's a lot of
Human
car
life
insurance
first, but
companies that aren't car people. So when you tell them this is what the thing actually is worth, they go, yeah, but all these other ones of that year are this price. Like, yeah, but those aren't the special edition ones. Those,
Right.
so
Right. This one is a particular. I don't know if you understand this, but out of all the boring ones, this is not the boring one. Yeah, no, dude, that's so bogus.
yeah, it is. So
The cats are angry at you.
why?
Oh, cats are angry.
Hmm.
They haven't been able to. We haven't walked across the screen once this show.
I
Not
closed
one
the
time.
door.
Well,
I closed the door. They couldn't get in.
yeah, try
Yeah,
to price
that's
regular
what
Land
I'm
Cruiser, and
talking
you're like,
That's because I had a friend of mine who one of their cars got messed up and they had a whole bunch of aftermarket stuff on it, and it was like they're like, yeah, but we can't do this or this or this, and so basically they got screwed out of a whole bunch of extra parts that they had put on it because they're like, well, this is what it's worth. Yeah, but it's worth a lot more because it's got all this other stuff to it, and it's
yeah.
so. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's that's gonna be insane. What's up?
It's crazy. Oh,
You
I
good?
can't believe that truck is gone. It's crazy. Yeah, I had a similar situation with aftermarket parts on my Galant. I had a bunch of parts on it, and they totaled the car, and I was like, okay, well, if you're just gonna total it, can I come get my parts that I put on it?
We're like, nope.
They're like, well, no, and not unless you have the other parts to put back on it.
That's
I was like, well, I'm not gonna put them on myself. I'm not gonna stand there in the yard, the junkyard that it's in, and remove and replace parts. I'll leave the parts for you. And they're like, no.
well, that's
And I was
the
like,
thing is,
fuck out of here.
so D's truck got totaled out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
one of our buddies has one of our buddies has the same exact truck, and he was needing a rear end from it. And we're like, oh, we'll just swap out the rear ends. And it was one of those things of like, basically we couldn't do any of that kind of crap. It was, we had to buy the truck back and swap the stuff out after that. And it was like, but why? It was just so much extra work.
Right.
So I don't know. All I can say is if you've got a bunch of stuff done to it, make sure you get like a detailed list of the stuff on your car.
Yeah.
What was it? There's another channel on YouTube called Daily Driven Exotics,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a Ferrari that he spent an extra like $20,000 on aftermarket racing parts on this car.
Okay.
Luckily for him, if you buy the parts through the Ferrari dealership, through the Ferrari factory, they've got VIN numbers, so that stuff is part of the car. So when it got crashed and totaled out, he got compensated for all those extra parts that he bought. But for a lot of the times when you do stuff like that, you'd be out that extra money for those parts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's some insurance companies will cover certain things like that. A lot of the antique insurance companies, you have to play ball with them, and you can only do so many miles per year, and it's got to be stored for so long. But they will cover all of the extra stuff that you've done to that vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and to like cars like mine where I've got it fully modified, if I really wanted to get comprehensive coverage of the stuff that I've done to it, I actually have to take the car to, because like it's not like the Ferrari stuff where it's got VIN numbers and that kind of thing.
Right.
I take the car to the insurance place and be like, come look, this is what I want you guys to insure. It's this, not what the VIN number says. This is what I want you to insure.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because like say you crash that car next week. Well, the insurance is going to look at it as a regular, Eclipse, nothing special. And so all of the work,
Eclipse,
all of the work that you've done to it, and all the extra stuff that you've put into it, is going to be for nothing.
Right, it's all gone.
So it's going to be, so you've got to keep an. That's the thing that sucks about it when people are like, "Oh no, I have never done anything to my car," And then the car gets crashed, and the insurance company goes, "Well, you said you've never done anything to the car, so here's what we're going to offer you for it."
Right.
You're like, "But no, it's worth so much more." And they're like, "Yeah, but that's not what you told us." So,
Oh. Man, you got offered $5,000 for that as it sits, so completely crinkled and everything, huh? It's crazy.
wow, holy crap,
No,
300,000 miles. How many miles did yours have? I want to say you said you had way less than like 100. I think. I think you said you had less than 100 on it, but I couldn't remember offhand.
I don't think he commented that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember offhand either. Either way, it didn't seem to matter. Some of the ones I saw online, they were high mileage. It didn't seem to matter. They had the
That's
prices on them were crazy high. It didn't matter.
yeah. Heck, I mean, I was looking at regular ones, regular Land Cruisers from that era, and they're still pulling 12, 13,000.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
there's certain cars out there that just take. Yeah, he had 201,000.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
He was up there. I thought he was up there. I didn't want to say anything though.
I don't. I know he was saying that it had low miles on it. So.
Well, seems like that might be a little bit.
Well, I mean, for what is it? Almost a 30-year-old car. Yeah, that is low mileage.
Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy, but Marty, we're getting towards the end of the night here. It's about
Yeah.
an hour 22 or so.
Definitely. So, go check out some of the YouTube channels that we've talked about. See if there's anything cool in there. If you've got any ideas for us for stuff that you want to see us do, let us know. Go check out Rob on Riding with Rob over on Instagram. Check out All Terrain Outlaws. Share it with your friends. Bring some people over. Let's see what's going on.
All right, man. Oh yeah, Rich. Totally. That's what I was saying. I think the ones that I've seen were in the $35,000 to $40,000 range. I was like, this is insane. This is nuts.
Yeah. I mean, that's original NSX value.
So, right? Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. All right. Well, we'll go on all day. But hey, we'll see you later, and Rich, keep us updated, man.
Yep, definitely. Peace.